If you've ever run your hand across the surface of a century-old barn and wondered how that timber is still standing strong while most modern boards rot in a decade, you're already on the trail of one of the most overlooked frontier skills. The pioneers didn't have pressure-treated lumber, epoxy sealants, or synthetic preservatives. What they had were local materials, observation, and methods refined through necessity. And in 2025, many off-grid builders, preppers, and historical craftsmen have quietly returned to these forgotten techniques because they work, often better than the stuff sold in hardware stores today. These techniques are slow, deliberate, and rooted in an understanding of how wood behaves over time. And if you master even one of them, you can extend the life of your structures by decades. The technique begins with choosing the right wood before preservation ever starts. The pioneers understood that preservation does not begin with coatings or treatments. It starts with the very tree selected. They didn't cut in the growing season when sap was high. They felled timber in the cold months when moisture was low and insects were dormant. This alone reduced fungal growth and made the wood more receptive to any treatment. They also preferred naturally durable woods for specific tasks: black locust for posts, oak for beams, cedar for anything near soil. This is a principle still valid today. If someone is building a shed, a coop, or a small footbridge, cutting or purchasing wood that is harvested in the dormant season will dramatically reduce future problems. Even if you're not cutting the tree yourself, sourcing winter-cut lumber or using naturally rot-resistant species is honestly one of the most practical first steps any builder can take. The heart of pioneer preservation, relied on heat-driven sap removal and oil infusion. One of the most effective but nearly forgotten methods was heat-curing wood to drive out internal moisture, and then saturating the grain with natural oils. This created a hardened, resin-rich barrier deep inside the wood fibres, rather than just a thin surface coating. The technique varied by region, but the fundamentals were the same. Gently warm the wood over low heat or in direct sun for days. Then apply an oil like linseed bear fat or pine tar. The heating opened the pores. The oil filled them. When the wood cooled, the pores closed again, locking the protective oil inside. To apply this today, you don't need a pioneer cabin or a smokehouse. A modern equivalent is placing boards in a dry, sunny location for 2 or 3 days, flipping them daily, then applying hot linseed oil in multiple thin coats. Each coat should dry fully before the next is applied. Over time, the wood develops a tight, water-shedding surface that resists rot even without modern chemicals. The use of pine tar was, the frontier's equivalent of modern marine-grade protection. Pine tar was common across early America, especially in regions with abundant pine forests. By slow-burning pine roots and stumps in earthen kilns, settlers extracted a thick, resinous tar that bonded to wood and protected it against moisture, insects, and even ultraviolet degradation. Ships, barns, wagons, and wheel hubs were treated with it. What made pine tar truly effective was not just the coating itself, but the method of working it into the grain. Traditional application involved heating the tar until thin and brushing it onto warm wood so it penetrated deeply. Many modern reenactors and historical builders still use this method because, well, pine tar ages gracefully, darkens to a protective sheen, and slowly reseals itself as the seasons change. Anyone maintaining a fence tool handle or shed can replicate this by purchasing genuine wood tar, still produced in Scandinavia and, parts of the United States, warming it gently and applying it in thin layers. It's particularly powerful for items exposed to constant weathering. The charring method, known today as shu sugi-ban, was originally a frontier moisture shield. Long before the term became trendy in architectural circles, pioneers discovered that lightly charring the surface of wood created a moisture-resistant, rot-resistant, and insect-resistant barrier. Charred wood resists swelling and shrinking, which means, fewer cracks where water can penetrate. The pioneers charred fence posts, foundation beams, and even food storage structures because the outer carbon layer acted like armor. To apply this today, controlled charring can be done with a torch, followed by brushing the surface to remove loose soot, and then sealing with oil or tar. A homesteader building a root cellar door or, an outdoor tool rack can use this to greatly extend lifespan. The goal is never to burn the wood deeply, just enough to carbonize the outer fraction of an inch. Many of the longest-lasting frontier structures didn't rely on a single technique, but a layered approach. Winter-cut wood, dried and cured, lightly charred, and then treated with oil or tar. This combination created boards that resisted rain, insects, and microbial decay for generations. Settlers who built smokehouses or grain sheds often used this multi-step process, and many of those structures survive today with minimal maintenance. Applying this in 2025 can be as simple as, selecting a rot-resistant species, warming it in the sun, giving it a controlled char, and finishing with linseed oil. The result is wood that honestly rivals pressure-treated lumber without any toxicity. These techniques are valuable because they reconnect modern builders with materials that endure. People today are drawn back to pioneer preservation methods because they do not rely on plastics, solvents, or chemical preservatives. They use heat, oil, tar and thyme, elements entirely within reach for anyone working on a homestead, small farm or prepping site. Whether you're building a small outbuilding, restoring old tools, or preparing wood for long-term storage, these simple, patient methods give you control over the material itself. They produce results that are measurable, visible, and historically grounded. If this kind of frontier knowledge speaks to you and you want more forgotten skills brought back to life, make sure you subscribe to Echoes of Valor, share this guide, and help others rediscover the methods that kept early American structures standing for generations.